expect.
Oh yeah. So the second video obviously I react to, and I said my time is a bit limited here, is that I wanted to react to this one right here.
I spent years.
So the mistakes that keep junior developers, the mistakes that keep junior devs junior. I'm glad for that. That title is great. But yeah, I think that kind of like goes into what I was saying a bit earlier. In my monologue a bit earlier here, that there is something very suspicious about, as I said, the resume that I have, which just to kind of give a short point of view on my resume. I mean, I have cybersecurity, Python, web development, databases. Like those are things that junior developers, that's what they're supposed to have, right? So if I have those certificates and those skills that I listed out in my resume, how on earth am I not getting a job? I mean, as I said, it could be maybe I don't have the lack of experience, maybe if the job was probably full, but like why put a job post out there if it's already full? And that makes no sense. So it's a bit confusing to me on why there's such a shift, or like there's such this corruption, or like I don't know what it is, man. It's just shocking to me, because I said my resume is very good, so I don't understand how on earth when the resume I had it just got blanked, you know what I mean? But hey man, I mean some people may say this didn't look presentable. I mean there's a lot of people that I know that use that same resume and got through, so I don't know, man. It's strange, but let's see what this video is explaining. Maybe it could probably shine a different light on something I may have missed, so we'll see.
Trapped as a junior developer. Not because I didn't know how to code. I could write functions. I understood loops, conditionals, data structures. I'd finished dozens of courses, but I was still stuck. And I didn't understand why until I realized the one thing I'd never done. I'd never shipped a real project. I'm talking about a project that wasn't a tutorial. A project where I had to figure out the requirements myself. A project where things broke in ways the tutorial never mentioned, and I had to fix it anyway. That's the difference between...
So basically, and again, I think this kind of goes back to what we would have watched in the previous video here, is that basically what they're saying is that it's about marketing, right? So basically what they're trying to like just say here from those two videos, right, is that they're saying that you have to show proof, you have to show that you can build stuff, that you can market yourself, because as I already said, 70% of it is marketing and 30% of it is showing your skill, right? So you have to figure out a way to that 30% is obviously building the project, and then the 70% would be how you can now market that project now to other businesses, and and hopefully pray to God that they see it and you get a job from it. So yeah.
A junior developer and someone who's actually growing. And most juniors never cross that line. Here's what I mean. When you're doing tutorials, everything is laid out. The instructor tells you what to build, how to build it, the exact steps. It's safe, it's comfortable, and it teaches you almost nothing. Because real development is chaos. Unclear requirements. Users who want features you didn't plan for. Bugs that only happen in production. You can't learn that from a tutorial. You can only learn it by doing. But most juniors never ship. They're terrified. They think their project has to be perfect, original. So they never start. Or they quit halfway because it's not as polished as the apps they use daily. You're comparing your first project to apps built by teams over years. But that's not the point. The point is you're learning things you can't learn any other way. When I finally...
but the thing about it with this one, again, that kind of goes back to what I'm saying about, these companies, they ask for like, you have to be like 3, 4, 5 years as a junior developer. Like you must have these experiences, which, is impossible, because how for 3, 4, 5 years if I'm not coming out of school, and even if you show that, you did projects as well, right, that they still don't accept you, because in my resume, I also show that, yo, but look, I built this project for school or whatever, like a student booking system or like a project managing system, you know, like a food managing system or whatever. Like I've shown that I can build these things, but you know, why for some reason is my application still getting rejected? You know what I mean? So again, like it's very confusing. Like that's why I'm stuttering with this, because I'm like, what else is the reason? Like what else can be the reason? Like obviously as a junior developer, I cannot just come out of school, right, and just have 3-4 years experience. That's quite literally impossible. You know what I mean? Like unless you're probably like, well, you know, working on you know, doing school. I mean, maybe that could probably be something. I'm not sure, but again, it's like, and I'm even self to if I had to, you know, forget what I just said about 3-4 years and in school. Like even with school, right? Like you have to also be mindful of, you know, and what they're teaching you. Is it preparing you for, you know, modern day web applications or modern day systems? That's another question too, because you can go to school for like, you know, 3-4 years or whatever, get your bachelor's degree, but you know, when you come out of school now, can you know, comfortably say that you can apply what you learned into a real world or into a modern day application? So then, like, you know, I mean, that's another question too, you know, because now technology is, you know, advancing, you know, day by day. So is it that the school curriculum is that advancing day by day? You know what I mean? So all that is like question that you just have to ask yourself, and you know, the institute that you're going to, you know, are they answering that question as well to yourself, you know? So
shipped my first real project, it was terrible. The code was a mess. The UI looked like it was designed by someone who hates users. About 3 people used it, and one of them was my mom. But I learned more from that one project than I did from 6 months of tutorials, because I had to figure out deployment, error handling for cases I didn't expect.
Oh yeah, I'm also, man, bro, there's AI as well too, man. Like come on, bro, like it's big 2026, man. Like why are we not using AI? You know what I mean? Like obviously, yes, you don't want to, you know, just build a project, right, and you don't understand, you know, what is being built. So obviously you try your best to, you know, have AI explain to you step by step in comments what you know, what our code function does, right? So you know, like yes, it may take a couple of lessons or a couple of hours to, you know, understand, or even research as well to understand, to, you know, build up your app or whatever. But I mean, it's like the world is moving so quickly, man. Like you can't, man. It's basically like the world is expecting you to be like a junior developer, then become like a senior developer, and then become like the CEO of developers. Like it's moving, the world's moving so quickly that, you know, you just have to use every advantage as you can in order to get ahead. And I mean, AI is probably one of the biggest, you know, examples in order to get ahead. But obviously too, AI makes the mistakes. You know, I'm not trying to say that, you know, you're just going to ChatGPT type, hey, build this web application for me or whatever, and then, you know, it gives you like this completely terrible web application. So it's like you have to, you know, still obviously understand what you're building, but, you know, obviously still use AI to help you build it quicker, you know?
To read documentation for libraries that didn't have tutorial. I had to debug issues Google didn't have answers for. And all of that made me better. Employers don't care about tutorial projects. They care if you can solve problems.
Yep.
If you can take something from idea to working product, the only way to prove that is by showing them something you built and shipped, something you made decisions on, something you debugged, something real. But I don't have an idea. You don't need one. Build a to-do app, build a weather app, build a clone of something you use. It doesn't matter. The value is in going from 0 to deployed, in all the things that break and figuring out how to fix them. That's what turns you from...
So basically what you're trying to say, just build something. Just show that you can do something. Doesn't matter if it's an app that's already out. Just show that you have the capability, you have the ability to, you know, or you have the skill in order to build this application. That's basically all you say. Which to me, that is good, but still I find, again, how the world is in 2026, you still have to be creative. Like, you know, okay, yes, you know, but and again, this is probably just me. This is me just trying to be a bit different, because I don't really like just copy something. Like if I really had to show a business something, like, okay, let me put it like this. There's nothing wrong in building those like web apps or those to-do list apps, but what else can be added to make those apps better? Instead of me trying to like recreate or come up with a whole new design, what feature or what security system, what else can you add in those apps that already exist? What you can, from using those apps and breaking it down or whatever and trying to understand the logic of that of that app, what can you learn and what can you build over from that app, right? And to make it better. Because I always say as well, to that small changes is better than than these massive wide changes and you don't understand what you're building. So that's something to keep in mind too.
Someone who knows syntax into someone who can build things. The other thing juniors do is build locally and never deploy. They'll spend weeks perfecting a project on their laptop.
Bro, this is
It's almost as bad, because deploying is where you learn the hard lessons. Environment variables, QRS, databases that work differently in production, SSL certificates, and DNS. Those things separate juniors from people who actually ship. So here's what I want you.
And all those things are important because ENV that just keeps ENV is that's a file or using Visual Studio Code, you understand what I'm talking about. As I will keep all your private information from the website. Then course CORS, those are security systems set in place in DNS, but that's your domain. The SSL certificate, I've not really quite learned that part as yet. Then databases will database that is making sure you're saving your customers and all this kind of stuff.
DNS. Those things separate juniors from people who actually ship. So here's what I want you to do. Stop watching tutorials for a month. Pick one project. It doesn't have to be impressive. It doesn't have to be original. It just has to be something you build from start to finish and deploy. Put it on the internet, even if it's broken, even if it's ugly, even if nobody uses it. Because finishing something and putting it out there will teach you more than another React course ever will. And here's the thing about shipping. Once you do it once, it gets easier. The first project is terrifying. The second one is uncomfortable. By the third one, you start to feel like you know what you're doing. And that's when you stop being a junior. Not when you finish your 10th course, not when you memorize every JavaScript method, but when you can take an idea, build it, and ship it without needing someone to hold your hand. Now let's get to the
So that's really good what he's saying here to be, because again, it's nothing. I'm gonna give you a bit of a secret here too. I mean, I am using right now ChatGPT to help me, understand Python coding and this kind of stuff. There's a few skills that I have to learn, so I'm using ChatGPT to help us break down these documents online. So let's explain to me and kind of give me examples so I know exactly what to do. So I'm not wasting my time and I'm just getting straight into it, right? Because what I'm basically telling ChatGPT is let's give me a summarized version of what this topic means. Give me examples of it. Show me how this code or whatever can be used in real life, and just kind of give me a test, and I just save it in my Google Drive or in folder, right? So I'm just slowly just learning these topics one by one, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't just learn all of this in just one day. You have to take it step by step, day by day. So he isn't wrong in what he's saying, that you should obviously still go through those tutorials or just understand the meaning. But the point about it is that make sure that once you learn a topic or whatever, you build something, just get into it one time, you try to see what you learn, how is that code applied into real life situations, and that's just really how you become better at it. And